kiss them in now, let your edge out.
Okay. Hopefully you can see. I know the sun is a little bit weird, so yeah. But I'm trying to catch the rest of the sunlight. Maybe it's too distracting. Let's see. How's this? Whew, that doesn't work either. Okay. But I wanted to catch this while I was in the mood to talk about it. But very exciting week. Let me try to change where I'm at, because I feel like the sun is like right here and this is not productive. So let's see if we can switch. Okay, I think that's a little bit better. I just closed the shade. Obviously you can kind of still see the... But anyway, this week was a very good week overall. Today is Friday, September 20th. And get my phone. But today was a good... I'm already out of breath. How? Another symptom. Okay, so it's Friday, September 20th, 6:43 p.m. I ain't got no... I'm just playing. So this week was a very important week. Had the first prenatal visit on... Now I don't remember, but I was waiting the last 2 weeks just to get to it. On Tuesday, the 17th. First visit, new doctor, and we're going to come to the result in just a minute. So Tuesday, I was exactly 7 weeks and 1 day. Found a new doctor out in Katy. And everything was pretty good. The parking was bad. I see what they mean. The office was cute or whatever. Very busy. And they drained out the waiting room twice before I was seen. So I didn't really care for that. And then I had to wait additional time to see the doctor. She was delivering a baby. But still, it was just a lot of waiting. And I understand you have to take patients with you when you go to new doctors and all that stuff, but I had to unpack and use patients. You know, they tell you to pack your patients, but all the time, usually I don't have to use my patients, but I had to use it that day, and I wasn't going to get ugly or like whatever with anybody. So anyway, went to the doctor. First thing they did was the ultrasound, and if I'm being completely honest, I didn't care for that lady either. I didn't care for her. I don't know, because she was overworked, but she was very brief with me. And I was, you know you could vibe. You know you could catch somebody's vibe off of just talking. And hers seemed a little nanny. And I didn't really like it. But again, I had been waiting to get to that day, and then waiting in the lobby, so I just whatever. So I go in the room. Of course, she asked me my background, you know, the qualifying things, and hopefully you don't... I'm turning on the fan because I'm hot. Where was I? And I think she asked me, like, is this your first pregnancy or your first baby? And I said, no, I have one in heaven, with my grandmother. And she was like, you know, a little bit dismissive off that, which everybody reacts to that type of response differently. And that's fine, you know, that's you. But, you know, she goes to do the ultrasound. And I was afraid to look at the screen, honestly. I was like, I don't know this woman. I don't like her energy, but I don't know what I'm looking for. You know, she puts the gel on. And I was just afraid to look at the screen. I just remember, like, just wait for her to say whatever it is that she needs to say. And I hear her change her tone and say, oh, there's baby. And I was like, okay. And I was still very skeptical. I was like, so we're seeing everything we need to see? And she was like, yeah, there's baby. And I look and I see the screen, which is, like the dark bubble and the little embryo in there. And then all of a sudden, she's like, she turns on the sound and it's a heartbeat. Y'all, I immediately started crying. I couldn't record in there, which Daddy isn't here, so I wanted to record for him, but she said they don't allow recording in there. But I also feel like that was a canned response because she didn't want me to record. I didn't even ask the doctor because I forgot. But whatever, that's what she said. But a wave of emotion came over because it was like relief. Like, I have been waiting all this time just to see if it's a viable pregnancy. And hearing a heartbeat not coming from your heart is, I don't even really know how to describe it. It's like, I don't know. There's no words. I was relieved. I was happy. I was sad. I was like everything all at once. And I just was not ugly crying, but I was bawling. Like, my eyes were just, it was a joy cry, but it was also like, oh my gosh, there's a heartbeat. And what did she do? Are you okay? Like, looking at me and asking me that as if like there was something wrong with me. And I'm like, lady, I just sat here and told you I lost my first pregnancy. And it was like there was a disconnect with me and her. And I try not to hold anything against people, but I will take note. I will take note. But anyway, I had my little crying spell. She didn't even give me no tissues, y'all. So anyway, I asked her, I was like, well, am I going to have these images or like what? And what does she do? I don't know what they do with them. Do you work here, ma'am? Do you work here? Who works here? How do you not know what they do with what you're... So anyway, before I left the room, she's like, oh, wait, now you have to go out. Like, I wiped myself off with the little paper, and she was like, are you okay? Do you need anything? And I was like, no, I'll just use this. And before I left the room and she told me I had to go back in the lobby, I was like, can I have some tissues? And she was like, she just stood there and I grabbed them from the little table. So I'm not really sure what that interaction was. I could do well without seeing her again, but I like to say, there's my baby. My little baby. Right up in here. There's still no bump. It's all bloat. Well, I think. But this is not a bump. But I'm definitely bloated. But baby is definitely in here. And of course, when I met with the doctor, she said we're seeing everything we need to see. Little baby. Right in there. That's my baby. So that part of the visit couldn't have gone any better. And I'm a proud mama. So very excited. I had to hold myself together. I did call Daddy when I was in and I say Daddy as if for the baby daddy, not my daddy. So y'all don't be, oh, she called him Daddy. I do not call him Daddy, okay? But for the sake of this video, Daddy. So went out to wait a little bit longer. Finally, I got called back. They took my weight. They took my blood pressure a little bit high. They gave me a little bag. And that's when the lady told me the doctor would be late. After she asked me a bunch of questions, she was like, she's delivering a baby. She should be here in like 10, 15 minutes. This is an hour and a half into me being there. And mind you, I got there 30 minutes early, like they told you. They told me to be there, so I was kind of overwaiting. But she finally came in. You know, she didn't feel rushed, but she sat down. She asked her questions. She said everything looks good for, you know, it matches what we would predict. You know, the fetus size matches your 7 week, 1 day time frame. Just trying to see if it's on here. Yeah, 7 weeks, 1 day. Heartbeat is good. So I was very happy to hear that. And she didn't have any immediate concerns. But there is, as far as health, because my blood pressure was a little bit elevated, you know, I'm on the radar for preeclampsia. I think that's the one that has to do with hypertension. And then I had gotten my wellness exam done the week before, and I did some blood work. And I'm at 6.0 hemoglobin. 6.4 is diabetic. I do not want to be a diabetic by any means. I know I'm close, but it is manageable. I really don't want that. So she said we'll probably do the glucose test early, which is fine. She also mentioned, because my blood pressure was a little bit elevated, that they may start me on the baby aspirin when I hit 12 weeks. Like the sun is in my face. The lighting. When you go to these appointments, sometimes you're just a little bit like excited and stuff. So it may not be right. It's just because there's a lot going on. So I want to have some extra data so that it's not an immediate like, oh, well, you're blank, blank, blank. I would be like, well, no, I've been taking my blood pressure 3 times a day at home with this, and it hasn't been elevated. Because like today I went to the dentist and my blood pressure was just fine. Just fine. So I don't want to be put in any category I do not belong in. Unless it's, like Beyonce said, sexy bitch. So, so yeah, so the rest of the appointment went well. And get this, the next appointment we booked for the 16th, but you don't get to see baby again until you're 20 weeks. I'm like, what? And if you want to do another ultrasound for fun or entertainment, it's not covered by insurance, which is really crazy to me. I'm thinking I get to see my baby every 2 or 3 weeks. Like, why I gotta wait so long? 20 weeks? I'm only 7 right now. Going on 8. That's crazy. So anyway, so yeah, that was, it went as well as it could have gone. So we are praising Jesus and thanking God for that. I know it's still very early, but I am trusting and believing God for a healthy journey through this pregnancy for both me and baby. Yeah, I think that's it. Hopefully, I feel like the visibility is a little. Last thing to share for this weekly update. The other night I was sleeping and legitimately felt like a rubber band popped popped in my uterus, to the point where I was like, I woke up and I was like, oh, I jumped in my sleep and it woke me up. And I was like, it's too soon for the baby to be kicking. What was that? But I also went back to sleep. So when I woke back up, I looked it up and it's my uterus. It's common when the uterus is stretching. So essentially it's a good sign that the baby is growing. So I was like, damn. So it made me excited, and a little scared at the same time because it really felt like a rubber band, like boop. And I was just startled. So that's it. That's another symptom. Other than that, still breast tenderness, fatigue. I didn't take a nap today, but I did drink some coffee at like 3 o'clock. 1 cup. That's it. The allotted. That was my only cup so far this week. So back up off me. Back up off me. Back up off me. Anyway. So that's it. That's the update for this week. All right. Love you to pieces. Bye.
Thinking I love me every day.